Similar to our last outing, break came into my life around this time before time of the year 2023. It was promising to be the big artistic work of a game with all the bells and whistles on top of it. It said it was going to be inspired by Nier, Final Fantasy, Studio Ghibli, of course, Sword Art Online, classic Disney, Berserk, as well as Earthsea, Stormbringer, and the Blogosphere, which sounds sort of like a venereal disease, but that's not important. The pitch was solid enough to warrant over 600,000 USD in funding on Kickstarter, so it has to be pretty good, right? But there are also 3 letters that permeate all the talk about it. OSR. At its core, the game's a D20 roll under system. Whenever you want to accomplish a goal, you take a D20 and roll it under your attribute. The usual applies here as well, but if you know what that is, you already know what you're doing. If you get that, congratulations! You can play half of the actual game, as that's a majority of the non-combat aspects. However, when you get into a fight, you're going to be rolling versus a defense rating. Rolling over, of course. But after you learn that, you did it. That's the game. But let's make a little character to explain some oddities. First, we need to choose our exciting class, which are all super exotic ways of saying support, rogue, fighter, ranger, druid, cleric, paladin, wizard, warlock. But Notepad, what's a battle princess? Ew, fuck you. Get ready for things to be called something slightly different to look cute, but let's take a battle princess, why don't we? The battle princess has the ability to summon a super special cool weapon and make whatever you want. This is not as impressive as you think when we get to weapons, though. You get a free shield and the power of love for your animal companion. You're like a druid and a cleric's love child, unfortunately. Outside of that, you get to pick one of your 8 elective abilities, which are all support-based in some manner, or pick up effectively 2 of your advanced abilities later on through the mandatory 10 levels of advancement. Speaking about 10 levels of advancement, here are all of your armor, melee weapons, thrown weapons, and pretty rigid ability increases. We can't have you making any of the wrong choices when you're making a character. I'm being a little bit dismissive about classes because there's this sense of deja vu with a lot of them. The name may change, but the features and natures of them are pretty much the same. The only reason healing isn't common is, well, we'll get to that later. Then we get to pick our cool species. You can be a human, another human, a tiefling at home, catgirls from Final Fantasy XIV, Giga Chads, or goblin I want to beat with a hammer, rape dwarf, rape elf, or robot. Or you can play a cheeb. I hate cheebs. Primal hatred erupts from my body when I see that fucking thing. I want to wring its neck and snap it like a twig. Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit blunt here. I hate the designs of all of the races, but let's be honest with ourselves. I really hate the look of this entire book. This game does not appeal to me in the slightest at that point. And I want to remind everyone this is Notepad's little opinion and not my objective fact. You might like the way this book looks. I think it looks fucking hideous. But we'll play a human. We get a free elective ability. Other races may get dark sight, advantage on certain checks, or a gimmick. As a human, we're just built different. As we blow through the roll on a billion tables and get your super cool backstory, starting gear, and minor stat adjustments, we're allowed to finally buy equipment. Now, I did skip ahead quite a bit and tell you the system already. You don't actually learn how to play the game until page about 210. I don't know if this is a brand new trend or they just hate the fact that they wrote a TTRPG and not an art book. There are 7 weapons. Yes, there are only 7 weapons. You may claim there are different weapons, but it is not. There are 7. Most have 1 special effect on it due to the fact that every attack is probably only doing 1 damage, which is quite a bit actually. The main gimmick is modifying them with special features and such. It's fine, just anemic at points. Armor just adds to your AC or defense rating, one of the 4 different types of armor, but due to how the speed system works, everyone's roughly going to have a +4 to their AC regardless of what you're wearing. You can't even bring along hirelings to die in your set if you wish. Go on, lead those urchins into the dungeon depth. It's a learning experience they'll never forget. So that's it, really. Outside of this, you go into dungeons, go into your marching order, and go on a magic adventure through the dungeon. This is where those OSR roots begin to creep up. If you've ever played a marching order Blood and Steel OSR game before, then things are going to feel awfully familiar. Everything looks different, but its meat remains the same, except one part. As I stated earlier, most attacks deal 1 damage, or a heart. Anytime you make a swing that connects with an enemy, you're going to deal 1 heart of damage. This goes for you as well. But what happens when you reduce to 0 hearts? Well, you'll fall over KO'd, right? Well, No, most characters are only going to have about 3 to 5 hearts to begin with. But what happens is you're going to be rolling on the injury tape. First hit, light wound, armor crash. Your armor cracks under the pressure of the blow. Second hit, severe wound, broken leg, snap. Your bone in your leg snaps in half as agony shoots through your body as you're forced to crawl now. Third hit, critical, mutilated, blood spewing haphazardly. You're all but dead if you get attacked again, and you'll bleed out pretty quickly. Fourth wound, 20, messy affair, blood and gore is all that remains. For some unholy reason, this game is a fucking grinder if you're not prepared. Enemies will mulch you, or you'll mulch enemies if you're not prepared, and leave this cute little girl here without an iron arm by the end of the first mission. The number of horrific ways to die, and not to mention the clearly not fetish material in the game, don't comment on it, but wouldn't it be really funny if you were ballooned? And other things, creates kind of a weird juxtaposition in this game. Honestly, it's one of the things that kind of pulled me out of it really hard. It says, haha, cutesy anime Ghibli fun times, and then you get dismembered. We're a unique game, but wait, we're eerily similar to every OSR shit brew, it says. Look at all these cool items. They're not different though, they're all the same. Look at X, but sorry, no, it's Y. It's an OSR game wearing one of those weird plastic anime masks. Unblinking, undeterred, unbroken. But then someone posted an image that changed my entire perspective on the game, one that made me understand what this game is in its most unintended way possible. Disney's Berserk. Suddenly, the entire game kind of clicks into place. Princesses, unintended ballooning, everything else makes sense when you make it a toon Berserk with Goofy as Casca. Even the April Fool's injury chart makes the game actually make more sense as you can recover from being down by completing the joke. Unfortunately, Break thinks it's an anime game and desperately wants to sell you on a perfectly okay NSR shit brew by painting a very pretty picture of what they think is that retro 90s anime style. It doesn't do it for me, it might do it for you. It's yuckin' time. My name is Notepad and this was Break. If you like what I do here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Many thanks to the band of Steamboat Financiers for continuing to fund my descent into darkness. Truly, this was our 100 Years' War.